some spring spring labeling, meaning I'm rebranding my brands. I haven't got to some of the sites yet. I'll get to them eventually. I haven't streamed on some of the sites. I need to go back to streaming different platforms because lately I'm just right now I'm only on Twitch because this past week I've been having trouble with Rumble and Twitch. Got to get over there and import. Hold on just a second. Probably gonna have to log in. That'll probably take me a minute. By the way, I'm gonna tell you, I've generated another, actually several more of these pictures. I'll tell you what I'm doing. We got photos of my fighter. We got them so stored up somewhere. They're like Polaroids and pictures, and I got a couple of them. I got one with me and him as a kid, and I got one with the one they got for his funeral, and I've got several others. I don't have many pictures of him, so I decided, well, I'll just create me some pictures of things that happen, like say when we would take trips, or when me and him would be working in the van on the radios and stuff. Sometimes me and him would, or I would help him do his wiring and stuff. We would do things like that. So that van is a darker brown than his actual van. He had this. He had this. He had this metallic color to it, and it was lighter. The van that he had. So I just created things that happen, like things that happen. As like sort of like paintings, like in the past where they would have paintings of pictures. I've never been that skinny in my life, but I want to tell you, my daddy gets got it down. And how I had to make those. If I showed you the original, the guys in the seat don't look nothing like that. Like the guy in the picture over, he looks much older than my father. He looks like an old dude, really old dude. But I'm going to tell y'all something about that. One time, Alex Jones told that they're trying to mimic us and do everything about us. I believe it. I'm going to tell you this face recognition facial swaps. It not only has the ability to capture your essence, it has the ability to capture your actual expression about how you would be if you were doing something. Like I generated one of him sitting watching TV. That's the way his face would look when he watched TV. Because usually I was sitting over there beside him or across from him. I could see the side of his head. That looks like how if I were sitting across from him and I turned and looked and saw my daddy watching TV, that'd be how he would look if he watched television. Or, let's say another thing. Boy, I would have looked good if I'd have been skinny. I would have looked decent. I wished I could really look that way. If I hadn't been a big fat blobola, I would have looked good, pretty good. Cause I'm telling you, it's got my daddy down there. So that's probably how I would have looked if I'd have been skinnier. My daddy's down. That's how he looked in those years when me and him, even the way the t-shirt wrinkles are. On that AI, of course, now that part was how the guy in the AI was. His face wasn't like that. If I showed you the actual picture, it looks nothing like that. What I did was, and I had to do it, me and him separately, I cropped our heads, the guy and the kid's head. And then I did his head first. I copied and pasted it over it. You can sort of see, if you look where the trees and the van is, you can sort of see where it's cropped. And you can even see it on his arm there or something. And then I did my face on the kid, and then I cropped my head in there and pasted it over the picture. Like squares, just their up to their shoulders or something like that. The top part, like the top part of the guy's t-shirt there and his white t-shirt. And I only did our faces. And I had to do them separate. And I thought, well, I'll just paste them over. I may go and try to make one better where it lines up. Because you can line them up if you really work on it. I've been dealing with paints and pictures and GIMP. I don't do I've never done Photoshop. I've done GIMP. GIMP is, I've forgotten what all to do on GIMP. We'll get the game and start here in a bit. I'm a little ahead today. It's earlier than the noon, so um, I'm just telling y'all some things, the creepy things. My sister's commenting on them because she knows what I'm talking about. She knows that's how he would look. It captures his face. I'm not sure about his work picture because I didn't see him much at work. I seen him several times at work. I made one of them at his job too because that was, he would work. He'd come home at night and watch TV. And sometimes he'd go to sleep. Sometimes he'd work 3 consecutive nights in a row. This guy was a hard-working man. I don't have many pictures of him, so I'm creating me some pictures. I'm going to tell y'all something, though. He died around the time I started getting into pictures. I mean, I was starting to snap selfies all the time around that time. And then later on, I started snapping my mama or anything else or some of our animals. I always snapped the animals, unfortunately. For years, I did not have a front-facing camera. All my phones all had back cameras. I didn't have selfies until about 14. So I got my first phone with the actual camera on it in 14. Now, before then, I had a camcorder. And dumb me just taped things that didn't matter. I didn't tape. Of course, now I'm going to tell you why. My daddy, he wasn't really a fan of that. He kind of get grumpy and aggravated when he'd see people out with video cameras. So when I got a video camera, I just didn't ever bother him with one. I mean, he didn't really like it. He wouldn't say nothing, but he grumbled. He didn't like people filming. He would grumble about it. So when I got a camcorder, I just didn't ever film us or anything, but I'd film things. Like there's this one day, it's probably a telephone, because I did have the back then. I didn't, like I said, I got the Samsung phone that first had the front camera on. And we were playing Christmas. I got a whole bunch after my cat died, I noticed it. I'd filmed him that whole day. He was laying back enjoying the Christmas music. My dad's playing Christmas music we was in an apartment back then. And my daddy was playing Christmas music. The cat is just loving it. He's laying back flipping his tail. I was filming him. Well, there's this one time where Daddy was sitting with him and talking with the cats. And I was filming the cats and I got his feet. And I was kicking myself because I was watching the video and I was thinking, man, why didn't I put it on him? The one video where I actually had my father. And it's his feet. I got his feet. That's all I got of him. So I've been thinking. See, what got me on this. Y'all remember when I started doing the video game thing, and you can put them on there and they're all tacky looking, but if you go with those patterns that they've got out there, they got a bunch. Goldberg, I see Goldberg, Jericho. The one I done a glow was Jericho and somebody else, some guy with a beard, and I got a girl one. I had to learn how to face swap. Well, I thought, wonder how that would turn out if you face swapped AI generated images and put your faces on it. Well, I experimented with that doppelganger, and it worked perfectly. That doppelganger looks like how the doppelganger looked. I'm telling you, I was screaming, whoa, whoa, I'm seeing him again. I'm rebuking him in the name of Jesus, though. He's not allowed to return in my dreams. Because he haunted me for years. But then I thought, I want to make some ones of my dad. Like he would get on set with a dog. Well, it never makes the backgrounds exactly. It never makes exactly how you tell it. You tell it something. Of course, now Gemini, there's several different models. Gemini's one. There's all kinds of them. It actually tells you that it can't necessarily make exactly what you tell it. It gives that pop-up. They never make exactly what you tell them to make. You'll tell them something, and then it imagines it's how it wants to imagine it. And my mama said, we didn't ever have a dog like that. We had a dog that was a breed of that, but he had another mix in him. And that was the one my dad was set with. I said, no. But I said, that's not what I was doing. I was just trying to create a picture. Because I didn't ever go up there in the yard and ask to take a picture of him sitting with a dog. Because I didn't know he was playing out. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he'd get out almost every sunny day or when he felt like it. He'd get out every day somewhere around 11 to noon, up to noon. He'd get out set with the dog after breakfast. He'd have his cap on. Sometimes his hair wouldn't be brushed. Sometimes he'd brush it, sometimes he wouldn't. That AI, by the way, I had to fight to get that dark hair. I didn't really want to make him when he would get up, but boy, it turned out because he looked how he looked when he. I guess that was why it was forcing me to do it. Because it does look, that's one of the ones that creeped my sister out, because that was how, when his hair was shaggy in the cap, that would be how he would look with his hair shaggy in the cap. Now, when he brushed it, it looked like that one there in the cap. But it came to another thought. This came to me just this morning. God had a reason why he didn't like images. Do y'all know that God, they say he knows all. I'm going to tell y'all some proof that he knows all. Do you realize that if they had Jesus' image, if I can get my Father's expression, they would be able to actually recreate Jesus on a TV screen? Now, they have probably done it, but we don't know. There's different types of drawings of Jesus. Sometimes some people make him completely freaking black, which he wouldn't have probably been freaking black. He'd probably been more like brown. Because when I see the people of the Middle East, they're usually tan looking or a darker olivey color. But they're not full-blown black, you know what I'm saying? Africans are usually more blacker than the Middle Easterners. I mean, they can get black if they're out in the sun long enough. They can, and I'm not trying to be racist here. I'm just telling you the geographical regions. But I doubt he would have been a white man. If he'd have been a white man, I'd have been shocked. And the Bible describes him as brass. So I'm picturing him to be like a brass guy. But they wouldn't have been a full-blown African man. And there's full-blown African Jesuses. There's different types of Jesuses. So, but now somebody could make a AI model off that Jesus. But now if they had his actual print, they could bring it. Because I'm telling you, when he would drive or the sun would be shining in his face, that right there is the exact expression. It's creepy as all hell. Because the guy, and I've seen the guy without the face on it. He looks nothing like my father. The fact that it is shining the way it's shining on his face and the way the light's shining, and I can look over and it's just like I turn around and I'm looking at my daddy. I mean, that's the way, because you know, that's the view I'm seeing here. It's from my window. So if I would turn, if I was sitting and I was driving right now, and I can do this right with my head visually, just seeing this AI generation. I can look and I can turn over here and I can see, if I pull up full screen, I'm looking at my daddy. And that's the way, of course, he'd have his glasses on after he had to start wearing glasses. And then eventually before he went blind. This has been how he would look before he started wearing glasses, or he'd have his sunglasses on. But the facial expression would be the same. Like if I put a couple of sunglasses on him, he would look how he would look in that, if I would turn around and see him. If they had Jesus' imprint, if they had Jesus' face, I understand the idols, no idols before me, and even why the Jews didn't like images. And it wasn't because it's not exactly because of the Ten Commandments. It was because of the technology that we was going to have. And God foresaw it centuries and centuries and centuries ago when he gave Moses those commandments. He knew. He saw it. He did know it. You know, I tell you, he knew it. Because if they had had Jesus' imprint, they could create a digital Jesus. You're wrong. Digital Jesus. He could actually move. He could actually look like him. He could actually talk like him. Then they could still do him. They can do him off their little drawings they've made. But we don't know whether those are accurate or not. Until you can actually pull up an actual painting that they made of Jesus, like George Washington and all them, like we got paintings of them. You would be able to make an animated Jesus, and he could actually have his expressions. Because I'm telling you, this guy here is not my father. It is an AI generated father off a space print that I stamped over his face. Because the real guy does not look like that. It's a mask. But it's got his essence. It's got the way if I were to twist and turn and me and him was riding down the highway, or I was sitting working on the radios, or working on his wiring, or helping him fix his van. He had this thing. The brown one, he tore the whole dash out of it. Mama got all over it. He had this thing of tearing up things, and then he would get me to help him to put it back together, if he could. By the way, I enjoy all that stuff now when I look back on hindsight. I'm not sure I really I really did at the time because it was something me and him did. We didn't do much together. I mean, he was at work most of when I was a child. He worked hard. And when I did see him, and the school tried to get me to write a thing about this, I made up his tale. They knew I made it up. I don't know how they knew I made it up. They even costed me over it. Finally, I said, they had those social workers. She wasn't the other one. This was a different one. This is before I actually got to actually meet her. Now, I seen her a year before, but no, I didn't actually meet her. This was a different one. And I said, okay, you want me to write the truth. It can be short and sweet. My father works hard. He comes in the evenings. He turns the television on. And he goes to sleep. And I said, there's your paper. I can't make 200 words of that. She just looked at me. Thank you for visiting. Thank you for visiting. I'm going to be getting to play here in just a bit. Thank you for coming in my room. And then later on, this other teacher, he said, why did they fail you on this? He was an actor. He played in a movie, something of Coweta County. Something of Coweta County. There's two versions of it. There's a newer one and there's an old one. He was the white-headed teacher, I believe, in that movie. If I remember correctly, I can't remember. He played some white-headed dude. He might not have been a teacher. He was my teacher, by the way. He was a B actor. He played in movies, and he told me, he said, I'm giving you an A-. He said, I'm not going to give you the A. He says, I want to give you the A+, because they failed you and gave you a D. I think it's A-. He says, I'm not even going to give you a B. He said, you made that story up. And he said, that's damn good. And he said, where I come from, that's creativity. He always wanted to be a big Hollywood movie star, but he didn't ever make one. But he played in movies with people like Johnny Cash and lots of other people. If I named some of the people, if I remembered some of the names, this guy played with. He worked at Dalton High at the time, and he couldn't understand. He saw it in my file, because it had been the year before when it happened. And he said, why did they fail you on this? Why did they fail you? He said, that was an amazing story. He said, you literally sat and created a story of you and your father. I'd use my uncle, by the way. Me and him did things. He'd take me riding out in the country in his old car. We would literally do things together. So what I did is I took my story with my uncle, remasked it around, wrote it around, sort of like I do JCBW, where I tell stories. And I do songs that way too, by the way. I write my songs that way. Write on my stories. I need to get back to that. Lately, I ain't been doing much of that. I need to get back to the story writing. Those are the kind of songs I like doing. And I wrote a whole story. I made up a whole entire, and they knew I made it up. I don't know how they knew. They knew I made it up. There was that old stuff at Picketing. But they knew I made it up. But that teacher, he was blown away because he was an actor. He said, where I come from, man, that's creativity. He says, I'm marking this D out on this paper. I'm giving you an A-. He gave me an A minus on that paper. He couldn't believe it. He was looking through my writing history, and it blew him away. He said he was sick. He was sick. He was out, and he said, "While I was out, I was doing a lot of reading, son, and I read your paper." He said that was an A minus. He said because you totally made that up, and it was a good story. He thought it was good. He said, if it had been my class, he said I'd have gave you an A plus. Did it ever come on? May I have to do some fixing. Let's see if I'll go to the Birch. Let's see if it has a picture. Nah, I'm going to have to go. I must have hit it. Oh, there it is. Probably going to fix the sound though. I'm not hearing anything. Yeah. We're going to have to fix the sound. Let me go and get the game going. And I'll get the sound going. That's always a thing with Windows. They couldn't believe they gave me a D. She wanted to fail me. She literally told me she wanted to fail me. But she told me, because this story is a great story, I'm going to give you a D. Well, he said, well, I'm going to give you an A minus because this is a great story. And he said, you were just a student. And he said, you never had any training in writing. I didn't. I just grew up with an imagination. As y'all notice, most of my JCBW characters are creations that I had made in the toy box. A lot of them aren't, but a lot of them are. Some of them came later on, like when I got a video game player and I started creating wrestlers. These would be people like Gorilla, Bertha, which I'm gonna give her a new presence this year. When she gets made in 25, she's gonna have a new identity. Bertha, they were all 2000. This guy named Rage, he was kind of like a Danzig character. Mr. Rage, he was made in honor of Danzig. Glenn Danzig. I was a fan of Glenn Danzig. Let me think of somebody. Henry Climate. Later on, I made him Henry Climate Change. Because I got this green figure, it was all green, and I made him bald-headed. And I named that figure Climate Change, and I would use it in the tapings of the action figure show. And he became Henry Climate Change for a while. Then I turned him back to Henry Climate. I've always had a big imagination. I had the big imagination as a child. And yeah, I wrote her that story though. I said, I can give you one and it's short and sweet. And I would have been ugly. And I'm gonna tell you, I appreciate it. Because you know there's a lot of lazy bums that won't support their families. They're lazy as all fuck and they won't support their families. And then I even learned to appreciate those times he was rough on me. Because post-2020 world, I've seen how sorry people are. And I have learned to appreciate that my daddy was trying to teach me not to be a lazy bum. I'm going to turn it off, let it wait for a minute, and we'll turn it back on. That sometimes fixes it. I'll be right back here in just a bit. We'll get started here in just a bit. It's hard to believe it's come up on 10 years almost on. We ain't there yet. We're where the starting of it happened. I mean, this is where he started experiencing some things. The whole summer he spent running to the doctors. We're getting close to that last concert he went to. Boy, that was so fun. I was talking about that the other day. That'll be June, so we're going in. We're April. You're about. I believe it's 6/15 if I go back and look at my ticket. I found some of my Megadeth ticket stubs the other day. I found that one I was showing y'all videos of. The ticket. It's $47. Boy, wasn't it amazing when you could go see Dave Mustaine for $47, and if you're in the handicap section in that particular arena, $47 in other arenas gets you far away. I showed y'all that, by the way. But now in some arenas, they have their handicap sessions with the stage. Those are always the best. I don't think they got $47 tickets to big shows anymore. I don't really think that exists today. I think that's about what we paid for Guns N' Roses too. Metallica was more, and it was higher up too. Metallica was like 50. I believe that if I wish I could find the ticket, because I probably got it saved somewhere. I used to save my tickets. It's probably about $55 for the Metallica, and it was further up. But you could get some decent seats for Guns N' Roses and Megadeth for $47 back in the day. Those were the days, man. Those were the days. Let's turn that back on and see what happens. Foolin. We've seen Def Leppard. I forgot to tell you, we've seen Def Leppard several times. I seen them with one time with that band that does a lot of REO Speedwagon. I wasn't never really a big fan of REO Speedwagon, but I seen them. I did like some of their songs, I'm gonna be honest, but I wasn't a big fan. Now KZ106, the one of my stations I grew up with, they loved REO. They played them all the time. Bum 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 bum. Can't think of the lyrics. When I said that I love you, I know that I love you forever. And I'm gonna keep on loving you. You know it's the only thing I wanna do. Let's see what happens now. I don't wanna keep, I just wanna keep on loving you. I don't know the full words. I can hear the guitar in my head. I may be hurting y'all's ears. I'm sorry. Let's see what happens now. What happens now? When I saw that I loved you, I know that I love you forever. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm gonna keep on. I saw the New York Dolls with Motley Crue. I just thought about that. That last concert we went with my daddy was Rolling Stones. That would have been 10 years ago this year. We got the cheap seats. We got the 25. They were doing some $25 radio station back tickets or something. Or it was a credit card. My sister got 4 of them. My sister got 4 of them. And you just got anywhere in the arena. I mean, they were random. We actually got good ones. This one guy, he got moved. He was telling my daddy, he said, "Man, these are good tickets. I'm glad I got a trade." I heard him talking over there to him. He said, "You know where I was at?" He said. And I looked up, when I saw him telling where he was at, I would look. He says, "I was way up there." He said, "Man, I don't blame you for not wanting to go up there." It was way up. He says, "I have sickness problems." He says, "When I get up too high," and he says, "It's a medical issue." He says, "They swapped them when we got these here." It would have been like that eclipse there. You see how high that eclipse is? That would have been where that guy was sitting. It was a stadium. We had pretty good tickets. I mean, Mick was far away. Like he had the catwalk. We was probably at the end of the catwalk. Yeah, the catwalk. Yeah, we were at the end of the fucking catwalk. We were right in the center, but boy, we was like center level, and I seen little Mick good. I could probably. I wished I could get her far enough away to show you how I was seeing Mick. I'll show you in something. Uh, one of these days. I could see little Mick walking around, doing his thing. My daddy, like I told you, he got irritated with that brown sugar because he kept playing it. He said, "Why he keep?" It was really just a medley. What he did as a medley. Did he actually did the song? And he said, and my mama said, "What rock are you living in?" Brown sugar was one of their biggest hits. Well, I didn't listen to the Rolling Stones. I listened to country music. He's telling the truth. He did get hung up on Elvis Presley. Those last few years, when he went blind, I had to set his radio. Y'all know when he was in the hospital? I wasn't there as wasn't able to be there. He said, Philip's fixing to come and set my radio here in a few minutes. I wasn't there. He thought I was there, though. I was there with him in spirit. And I'm gonna keep. I ain't sad. I'm just sort of in a memorial mode. You know, it's been a decade since I've seen my father. I'm kind of in a. Damn, but they're gonna tear my green car up. These NPCs are just determined to tear my green car up. Freak these NCs. I'm trying not to cuss. I'm gonna get even with these NCs. Wait till Halloween. You know, I always do the horror-thon. Just wait till Halloween. These NPCs are going to pay. We're trying to tear up my green car in April. I'm plotting it now. I'm making Michael make his rounds. Michael is going to get even with them for what they've done to Christine's car. Dun, 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 dun. He's waiting, y'all know. He's sitting back looking at the Easter bunny. Can't wait to the pumpkin. He's going crazy because it's about time for the Easter bunny. And he's wanting to get a hold of Halloween. He's just dying to get. He's sitting, biting his time looking at that Easter bunny. Saying, damn, it's the Easter bunny's time. Maybe I ought to dress up as an Easter bunny. Maybe I ought to make Michael have an April thing. And put on an Easter bunny. If there's got any bunny mask, put a bunny mask on. Wonder if I can do the casino yet. Probably not. I don't remember. I think I did it last night. I guess we'll do the taxi. We'll earn some cash at the taxi. Foolin. Oh, I need to get my... so I can monitor my chat. Give me a second. Because I can't monitor the chat. I'm sort of in a memorial moment. Like a memorial. Let's get... I don't know if I'd post real pictures if I had them, to tell you the truth. I'm getting where I want to share as little as possible. I mean, I don't really see what watching TV or riding in a van matters.
Hey, Carlo, how you doing? That was great. We went to a party last night.
Most people are not your friends. They're acquaintances. And a lot of them are not on good terms with you. Even if they're smiling at you. They don't mean good intentions for you. Even if they're smiling. That's the lesson you need to learn about most people. Most people resent you exist. And they want everything you've got and they want you dead. That's what most people want for you. Just telling you some truth there. Not everybody's your friend, especially some of them grinners. You really got to watch the grinners. The grinners are the one, as my daddy used to say,
It's nice not
will take you out back and do things to you. I can't say exactly what he said because I don't think I can say that on Twitch.
What the fuck, dude?
Most people aren't your friends. Even when they're friendly, they're not really being friendly. In other words, they're wishing the devil on you. They're wishing witchcraft on you. That's something the Africans are good at teaching you about. Because Africa's full of that
Hey,
darkness.
make sure you call me later.
I've been watching the African pastors.
Hell,
African pastors.
Hey, wow.
Let's see. I like listening to the Africans. I like their accents. Oh, I love their I love the accent. It's sort of like listening to that guy on the Star Wars. You know, the Misa. He's similar. That green person's around here somewhere. Oh, it's back that way. Which side, man? It's over here. Of course, the problem is I can't drive over there, so it's not. I'm gonna have to get back that way. So we'll just get turned back around. Did I pass him? Thought I heard a pop. That's a liquor store. You must be able to buy something else there too, because it's got leaves. It's got leaves. Mirror Park Travel Tavern. You know my latest theory on that doppelganger, by the way. You know that, like I told you, that cabinet that was behind him, that was a mirror.
where's your training session?
I think it traveled through the frickin' mirror. So I've been learning about spiritual warfare. You know, mirrors are a big part of that. But Mama was dealing with some personal things that day. Oh, there he is. I see him. I actually see him. There he is.
Something with your life.
That's a market. Sorry, buddy. It took me a minute. It took me a minute with that sun. I've got a theory about how that damn doppelganger got there. That mirror. He come in through the mirror. Normally they just reflect. He has asses sitting in the room. And he was as solid as me. But then when I turned and got that phone, he's gone. And I texted my sister and told her about it. And she know what she told me? She said, I hope you or somebody ain't gonna die. She says the series Supernatural had something in them shows called doppelgangers, and when they were seen, death was around. That's what my sister texted me back. I said, I know, but I seen it. He was in there shaving. He's listening to this Grand Ole Opry radio. It's WSM was what it was. It wasn't Grand Ole Opry time, but he listened to WSM quite a lot. That's one of the things he'd do. He knew how to find it. It was a white block on his TV, and he could see the white block on the Roku. He knew how to click it. So he listened to WSM quite a lot. I still think of it when I listen to WSM. WSM. I haven't listened to it in a while. I don't know if it's still doing the same or not. That's how they used to do. It was the last time I listened to it. All of our cats that was alive when he was here are all gone. They've all died. But those cats, they even knew the stuff he listened to. Because if I played the songs, they would light up. They'd remember. Because he'd get up in the middle of the night and set with them. He wasn't the biggest fan of cats, by the way. He never really wanted them. But he was good with those cats, even though he didn't want them. I guess he's one of those people who thought they was evil or something. I know he thought computers and stuff were evil. He liked dogs, though. But now he would even be good to the cats. Indeed, he told them bye when he was dying. He said up and said, I'm probably not going to come home this time. He was right, he did. He went to the hospital and he died there right after. He raised up for that last time. He said, I'm probably not coming back. You get upset with him at night. My cat was really finicky. He didn't like me leaving. When I went to my bedroom, I wasn't around. He was in the living room. It was him he'd really sit with. He said he'd be up. He'd say, Philip, I had to sit with your cat tonight while you was asleep. He was having a hard time you been in your broom. I don't think he ever forgot my daddy. I don't think he ever forgot him. I think he loved him just as much as he loved me. He knew when he was leaving. That was the eerie part. My sister started texting me, but he was reaching his hands up in the air. And I told my sister, I said, I knew something was up. I said, why? Felix was lifting his hands in the air. He knew when my daddy was passing. He knew when his spirit left the earth. You know the Lion King movie they got out right now? It kind of irks me to hear its title. Because one of the names I was calling him, I have this thing, I call cats all kinds of crazy names. Like I don't never just call them the names, I always make up a bunch of million other names for them. I kid you all night, one of my favorites was Methuselah. I would call him Methuselah. Like the name in the Bible, Methuselah?
Are you fucking retarded?
And then, but there I cut Methuselah down. I started just calling him Mafusa. Well, y'all know that latest Lion King they put out is called Mafusa. But I was cutting Methuselah down. I didn't feel like saying the 4 words, so I'd say, Mafusa. How you doing today, Mafusa? And when I hear people talking about Mafusa, I think of him. Because even though it wasn't one of his names, it wasn't his name. It was one of his later names I was calling him. That's right before he died. I love that old cat, but I probably won't never actually adopt one myself again. He was my actual cat. I mean, my cat. He was mine. I actually signed for him. That's a whole story, too. I will never, ever. Like, when they give you the option to not spay and neuter. Oh, by the way, there's an article out about the vaccines and stuff that harm the cats. And dogs, too. Causes them all kinds of cancers and everything else. They tell you to be careful of them damn vaccines.
You can drive
We
now.
actually had a guy in the paper that told us this. And unfortunately, I would take him and get him. And that was one of my regrets. Because he got really sick in there.
Hey, you. It's been way too long.
And I think a lot of it was due to that junk, that poison that I allowed them to do to my animal. Well, in some areas, they'll actually let you decide. You just got to pay more money. Like, say, if the adoption fee's $40 for the spay and neuter, you might have to pay $70, $80. I think I'd save me a few dollars and go with the non-spay and neuter because they butchered him. He went from a little cat 2 weeks to a big, gigantic, fat cat. And he never peed right or anything after all that. And then later on, I heard that you shouldn't do that. Some guy actually wrote articles in our paper. He was a veterinarian. And he would tell people, said even if the law required it, he said, I would be willing to tell you to defy it. He told that in the article. He says it's bad on your pets. It's like they're bad on the humans, they're bad on the pets. I think I would opt to pay not to ever do that again. Now, I know you have a wild... He'd probably been wild to deal with if we hadn't... He'd probably been a real wild one, because he was kind of wild. He was like a puma. That was his other nickname. I called him Puma. Because he could run like a puma.
Hey there. See who that's
He could still run like a puma up to 2 weeks before he got really sick.
Slow down.
Indeed, we didn't even really know he was going to die.
How the heck are you, Brad?
He could run like a freaking puma. This cat was a puma.
What the shit?
Go to the doctor. Find out. Hey there, Brad. Oh, my.
I called him a wildcat. Like one time, my daddy, when we first got him, we was waiting on his cage to come in. You know, we bought him a big, good, nice cage.
Your place tomorrow. Oh, shit.
And we had to keep him in the carrier. Well, he hated that carrier. My daddy said, I got to feeling sorry for the cat, and I found out why y'all keep him in the carrier. I said, yeah, I'm seeing him too. Woof! 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 Around the house 3 times. He finally wore out, and I got him. I grabbed him. And I gave him back to Daddy. He said, I'm not going to feel sorry for you next time. Well, luckily his big cage come in. His nice cage. His nice cage came in. He said, I found out why y'all was keeping him in the carrier. I said, yeah, I know, I'm looking at him. So my other nickname for him was Puma. He was like a puma. Y'all know some weird thing I had about him, and this is very weird, and it is very weird. And it is very weird. Months before he died, and months before they built a bunch of brand new houses in there. Indeed, the lady that owned the property where they built all the houses, and then they bought the two and built 2 others besides those other houses. They built a total of 5 or 6 houses in there. I had this weird dream that my cat escaped and I was running him down the road. But when I run down the road, I was running past some houses that weren't there. Well, guess what? Those houses was built. When they got finished with all of them, they were just getting finished with them all when he died. I realized that's what that dream was telling me. He was getting away. He was running down the street, and I was worried about him. He jumped in some woman's. Indeed, one which hasn't came true. One of the things that was there was a apartment complex. It had several different houses in it. Like it was a bunch of apartments. And they, you get out of here, she was saying. Your cat's in my house, and I woke up. She's a hateful Karen. This woman was a Karen. Karen. Well, I realized later on that dream was symbolizing that around the time those houses are going to be built, your cat's going to leave. I didn't know it at the time, but I was worried to death. I didn't pay attention to the houses. I wished I'd paid attention. I was too busy chasing him. But when I woke up, I told Mama, I said, Mama, I was dreaming the cat got loose. I was chasing him down the road. Spray's going to get run over by a car. Because I'm going to tell you, he never ever was ever let loose. I mean, I'm talking about let loose. I mean, you know, some people, they let their cats out, go out in the yard, stay out for a while, and then let them come back. He wasn't one of those. He was shaded from a baby up, a kid. When he was out, he was with us. Like when I took him out, one time I took him out in the yard. I took him out with the dog. He loved that dog. Dog loved him too. I used to sit out in the backyard with him with the dog. But now I didn't let him loose. He was always guarded. He was taken care of from cradle to grave. That cat was loved, and he was taken care of. So when I seen him running down the road in the dream, I was scared to death because he had never been loose before. He was a kitten when he adopted it.
Oh no!
He's a little bitty thing. Indeed, I had to bring him home. In my arms because he never did like that freaking carrier. He hated it when we went on road trips. He hated the carrier from cradle to grave. There's a green car. I'm just going to take the cab I got. I'm going to go take the pizza jobs. I like the pizza jobs better.
You gotta be joking, asshole.
I made $5,000. Fuck you, Eli. You think he's talking?
I quit.
If that said Eli, I would have died.
Leaving with you.
It said Eli.
I gotta go.
You know, these old idiots all going on about Elon Musk. They do realize that Tesla is just a car brand, don't they? And I've heard that it's one of the best electric car brands. Also, I've heard those other car brands suck in the electrics. I've heard he's got the best. I don't know because I don't buy electric vehicles. I wouldn't even have the money to buy. I would be good to save up and get a junker. You know what I'm saying? Or a very well-used car for a few $1,000s. That'd be what I'd have to buy. But now I've heard that Elon's, out of all the electric cars, I've heard that Elon's is the best. A lot of them are pure junk. Some of those that Obama and them were invested in were pure garbage. Garbage. Pure garbage, Holmes. They wouldn't quit. They quit on it, and it cost thousands and thousands of dollars to fix.
Hey, darling, I ain't seen you in forever.
They quit charging, etc. I heard the worst thing that the Tesla did was overheat. I was reading some stuff about that, about them overheating. I think it looks nice though, man. I'm telling you, if I had one, I'd have it painted like Hot Rod. You know Hot Rod in the Transformers? I'd even have that yellow fire painted on it. I might even put the Autobot mark on there. Buy me an Autobot sticker and stick right in the center of it. I'd have it painted like Rodimus or Hot Rod. Because it kind of looks, it's kind of shaped like Hot Rod or Rodimus. I seen a purple one the other day. Nikki Six shared it. I'd want mine painted like a hot magenta. His Hot Rod was magenta. I'd want mine painted magenta. And I'd even want the fire prints on it. On the sides and the front, I'd want that fire print on it. I'd want it magenta and I'd want the fire prints on it. I might even go have some silver, you know, he had those silver things on the side. Those pipes. I might have some fiberglass pipes made for the side of mine. Just saying. Look at this schmuck. Pulling up right beside me. Oh yeah, I was gonna go take the pizza job. We ain't made enough money yet. Money, honey. Money, honey. Money, honey. We gotta go back and take the pizza joint. Cause I'm just getting where I'm having trouble finding them taxi people. Sometimes I have trouble finding the pizza, but I do better with the pizza than I do. I don't care as long as I make some cash. One of these days I gotta just start doing the races again. I just don't want that motorcycle race because it doesn't race good in PS5. There's something wrong with the stick. Crazy Chico home? God, they're gonna hit me. Son of a bitches are determined to hit my green car. I'm gonna get even with them with Michael. I'm gonna get even with these NPCs. I'm gonna make him stalk some down with vehicles. Of course, that's what Christine did in the beginning. She would run them down in her red car, sort of like the Christine in the movie. I went too far. I ain't wanting to talk to you right now. Leave us the freak alone. Of course, now there's a reason Dalton, Georgia is not a place. And beat it all. Some woman called them out the other day. They're throwing dogs out. Can you get this? Sorry animals, sorry human beings are throwing dogs over there at Walmart. Now, Dalton, Georgia is nowhere to be throwing out pets. We got crowded streets, highways filled with cars. It's not a place to be throwing out your freaking animals. Now, people does it. We've got a whole bunch of their strays over there. Some dogs, some cats. But now that's not the place to be throwing animals out. Dalton, Georgia's not. We probably really shouldn't throw them out anywhere. It's not. First of all, it's not good. You take them as a pet. You should take them as a pet, and you should take them from cradle to grave to the day you have to bury that pet. You should keep that pet. Now, I know there's situations, but I'm gonna tell you. I wouldn't throw mine away. I think I would be on the streets and homeless and living out of my car before I would throw my animal away. I just keep looking around. I found a place I could take my pet with. Even if I had to sleep in the car for a few days or a few months, I would do that. Because I look at my pets as a part of me. I look at them as a part of my family. I love them just as much as I love me. You're not going to see me throw my pet away if I have a pet. Now, I'm probably never going to actually physically adopt one again. Because I literally went and got him. Indeed, he was stayed over a stay. I think I've told that tale before. Y'all know that they used to be a kill shelter to where we used to adopt. I don't think it is anymore. I think they've upgraded status and they're no longer a kill shelter. They used to be a kill shelter. I believe. I'm not real sure. I thought I read that they're not a kill shelter. I'm praying they're not. Because they do get a lot of animals. Even today. But, he had overstayed his stay. And my sister got sick. She was thinking about going and getting him. And she told me. He said, will you check on that cat? I'm too sick. And today should be his last day before they start wanting to execute him. Now, he was going to get lucked out either way. Because somebody was coming to get him. They were 2 hours away. The woman said, they've told us that they're going to be getting some other animals too here. So they've told us that it's okay if you want to adopt him, you can adopt him. It won't. Indeed, he'll be a home. They was a shelter that just rescued him. They're like 2 or 3 hours away, like down south. I think that was down in the Blue Ridges. And they were coming to get a bunch of the other cats. But my sister told me, she said, I want you to check on him. I'm sick and I can't go get him. I told Mama, I said, Mama, he's still there. I've decided I'll go get him. He's a cute little thing. Cute little thing. And we got there. We found out why. He climbed. Like he climbed my mama's head. He climbed my head. That saved him. Him being a climber saved his life. He was already about 2 or 3 days over what normally they let him stay. And that woman, when we got there, she said, y'all gonna deal with him. I'm not touching him. She was the main one that dealt with this animal. And I got there. Well, where's he at? I don't know, but you're going to deal with him. He come running out of the poopy pan. He was underneath in the poopy pan. And she said, you're going to deal with him. I said, I'm not touching him. Well, I found out real quick. Then we put him in that carrier. Meow, meow, meow. Mama pulled over. She said, I told her, I said, we're not going to be able to ride all the way back to Dalton. I said, just let me have him. I'll hold him. He licked my face. He climbed my head. We even stopped off. Mama had to stop and get some things. And, or try to look for something. She needed something at the hardware store. Boy, these 2 old guys come jumping out. And I had my windows down. And I thought, oh my God, they're scaring him to death. He's going to jump out of this car. Well, he didn't jump out, thank God. We did get him home. I sat in the car and held him. He licking all over. I don't let animals lick my face. You know it's not good to let animals lick your face? Savages even cover this extensively. Dogs or cats. You don't want animals licking. That it's bad for your. You can get diseases and everything. I don't let animals lick me. He licked me. He licked all over me. Never been licked over so much in my life. But he loved me from the day he come here to the day he died. I had him for about 10 and 5 months. He almost made 11 years. 10 and 5 months. 10 and 5 months. He might have lived longer if I hadn't done all that junk to him. You know, outbeat of all, Alex Jones was covering all this stuff. But dumb me didn't listen to him. And Alex Jones is always right. I know some people may not like me saying that, but Alex Jones is usually always right. And he was covering this stuff. And I done something to my animal that I wouldn't do to me. Because I don't do it to me. And I don't care whether they try to get forceful with it. I just reject. They did try to force me one time. Years ago. Years ago. George Norrie of Coast to Coast, he was a set-in back then. This is before Art and them, they made him the main one. He was covering the soldiers and what the vaccines were doing to them. And it was that flu shot and several others. And I started having to go to the doctor because of my diabetes. Well, this one little niffy nurse, she decided to get Mama Goose on me. She was backing me up to the wall, trying to stick me. I said, I don't want it. I told her, I'm not taking that damn shot. I said, I heard a guy on the radio covering saying that they were hurting soldiers. Well, my doctor, he asked me about it later on. So, well, he said they can't really force you to take it. He said, I'll get on to them. I'll tell them they're not to do that anymore. She decided she was going to give it to me whether I wanted it or not. She had opened it up. She had it in her hand. She was back in. I backed up the bars, the little room I could get. I said, I don't want this thing. I said, I finally screamed at her. That's when she left me alone. I said, I heard a guy on the radio the other night telling that it's hurting the soldiers, and I don't want it. My mama would get them in the beginning. She took a really bad flu. She tried to get me to take them. My mama. She took them about 2 years, I think. She took a really bad one, like they never got over it. And Mama said, she said to herself, she said, I think that flu shot about killed me. I'm not going to take it. But she didn't ever take it. And she tried to tell the lady that had this house here, oh, I'm going to get my flu shot. Well, guess what? She took that final one, and it put the nail in her coffin. She got sick, and she got sick, and she got sicker. And she never recovered, and she eventually died. My mama had helped take care of him. She'd help her with her cats and everything. She'd help her take care of her cats and everything. So when her was it her daughter or granddaughter? I can't remember.
My new thing
Sold the property to my mama. My mama needed a new place. She sold it to her. But she happened to die just when my mama needed a new place. I gotta get out of this mess. I'm in this mess. I follow a lot of those groups in Dalton that keeps up with what's going on in the area. And a big thing going on right now. People, lousy, sorry people taking dogs out that have been pets and throwing them out. That is the most horrible, horrible thing that anybody could ever do. I mean, if you can't take care of a freaking pet, don't get one. You know what I'm saying? Don't get the pet if you're not going to take care of it. I mean, yeah, they're little. Sometimes they get them when they're little puppies. They're not going to stay the little puppy forever. They're going to, sometimes some of them might be, depending on what breed it is, it might stay a little Chihuahua. Little Chihuahua is kind of going to be a puppy for a remainder of its life. It's going to look like a little cat, a little dog. Yeah. But now, other animals, sometimes them little bitty teeny tiny puppies become big dogs. Ours was one of those. One my daddy had. One my daddy got. Like I said, he didn't like it after Daddy died. I don't know if he grieved himself to death. He lived a few months later. I think he died around November or December. January. Now Daddy died in August. That dog just wasn't happy after Daddy left. But he's the one who brought him home. And when he brought him here, he was a little puppy. But then he turned to this big, old, rambunctious dog. I mean, he's a big one. He's a big dog. He's a big dog. You couldn't move him. Sometimes Daddy was the only person that could move him. When he decided he didn't want to move, he wouldn't move. He was stubborn. But Mama was getting on to him in the final years. Because, you know, when it snowed, you get wouldn't lay in the dang snow, and she couldn't get him up. He was a stubborn dog. He was stubborn. There it is. I see it. Crazy Jesus. We run into it. Big old dog. He even got reported on. He got lost one time. We looked for him about 2 weeks. Luther. You know the guy that used to be on Channel 12? He was one of the dogs that Luther covered. We was looking for him. And guess where he was at? He was down at the Chinese. There used to be a Chinese restaurant a little bit from the house. Our area. Chinese guy called. I heard y'all was looking for doggone Luther. I recognized your name. I think I got your dog. It was him. He says he's been back here with my dumpster. He's hiding back there. Well, he ran off again, and by the time we got down there, we had to chase him half the time. I think they finally caught him on Thornton Avenue or whatever it was. It's a place called Thornton Avenue over here in Dalton. I think they finally got him there. He got away from the Chinese dude. He held him for as long as he could hold him. But the minute he got loose when we got him. And he decided he was going, and we had to get him on, I believe it was Thornton Avenue. I've lost her card. I ran away from her card because I was talking. I hope I can find it. Oh God, I got a gun. Is that it? Why did I leave her cart behind? I got into my conversation. Don't know what it means. There it is. Don't know what it means. They're cold, but we're going to deliver them. Don't know what it means. And she says, yeah. I changed it just a bit. She's got that gun on her hip. Yeah, that dog, he escaped. We like to never got him. Yeah, he actually got featured on Luther. That Chinese guy, he called him. He said, I heard you. I said, I recognized those names. He would get our mail sometimes. That was how he recognized our name, our numbers. Because he got our mail. He said, I got your dog, man. He got away from Mama. He went running. How many we done? We got 2 more. 2 more to go. Yeah, that dog got away. Boy, he's a big old dog. He's bigger than the one that's pictured by the one by my daddy's leg. He's a huge thing, man. I called him a lion, because he kind of reminded me of a lion. I miss him, though. I miss him. You know, when the train would come by, he sounded like a werewolf or something. He would go, oh, 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 when that train would come by. He loved the train. He loved the fire trucks. He loved the train. We'd howl at that thing. He had the biggest howl. He left for Daddy. He only stayed a few months after he died on him. Oh, I can still hear it in my head though.
Hi, you. Can I do this pitch or what?
They had built him a big old gigantic pen. I mean, you know those pens like big ones? He chewed that thing. They had to actually build it in. Because he chewed it. He chewed his way out of it. He chewed his way out of it. I ain't getting up there. There ain't no way I'm getting up there. I'll have to find another way to that pizza. That day that I was putting the pin together, I was sitting out in the backyard listening to Michael Savage. My daddy was kind of listening to because he was putting the pin together, you know. I had to help him some. Like when it come to the doing the last part, I had to help hold it. I find a way up that way. Due to my conditions, there's not much I can do. But I can hold things. I could deal with wires and stuff too. I'd always help my daddy do the wires and stuff in the van. Like when we was wiring, like putting in new radios. We'd actually put the radio. He'd buy radios. We put them in. He didn't go hire somebody to put them in. He just had me and him do it. I bought him some crimpers, so me and him could work easier. Because he'd sit out there and he'd be fussing. I said, Daddy, they make crimpers. Get me a pair of them. He cut with his pocket knife. He cut them off to her and goes, but finally I told him, so we need some of the crimpers, Daddy. They sell them in the electronics catalog, so get me a pair of them. So I did. I got a pair of them. You could crimp cable with it. You could crimp little wires. I think they're about $7. I paid for them. At 13 or 12, it was 12. At 12, he showed me how to do wiring and stuff. Like my radio cord got nipped or something. He said, son, I'll show you how to fix it. So from now on, I didn't need him anymore after he showed me how to fix it. I knew how to fix the wire. Okay, it must be the next place. But it's around here somewhere because I see the. We're close to it. So. Sorry, pulling the junk. Let me get her off for a minute. Put her back on. Here comes the aggravators. Oh, aggravating NPCs. Go on. Go on. Go. Yeah, you better go in the comment. There, cat. Don't want to run over the cat. I don't want to kill the cat. Okay. I remember when we first started getting cats. Y'all knew I didn't want cats. Why y'all getting cats? But then he loved them after he got to talking to them. I told y'all years ago, no cats. The neighbors always had cats. And I always wanted one. But then after we got the cats, he was always friendly to them. Like he'd set up with mine at night, and I wasn't around. Mine wasn't around. I'd set up. He'd set up with. I wasn't around. And the time when we used to have a downstairs, he'd have to sit with him then too, because he would sometimes be downstairs. He wouldn't be up with me. Huh. A park right on it, I can run around and find it. Right there. So then here? It's here somewhere. Must be around the bend. The devil's around the bend. Yeah, there it is. Good. How many we got now? Ah, man. I can't believe it. Fucking damn internet. So that's what I like about games that are building the game. The old days. You didn't have to worry. You didn't even have to have no nothing when you had power. As long as you had power. At this time, sometimes our cable would go down. No worries. Just turn on the console. Pop in the PlayStation 1 or 2 disc. You had it made. I ain't going back. I'll see what kind of cash she's got, and I'll put it in her. I'll see if she's got any cash, and I'll put it in her bank. Yeah, she's earned some. I'll try to earn later. Let's see, where's the... I'm going to put up whatever she earned there. She earned another 54. I'm going to call it a day. Probably been on for an hour anyway. Change her clothes. Let me go back down. We'll get her in another attire for next time. We will let her earn her time. I'm going to reboot the internet stuff. The old days, though, as long as you had power, you didn't have to worry about your game. It's 1 o'clock anyway, so I was on a little earlier. Thanks to anybody who visited with me. And thanks to the people that are watching the future. Be sure to follow, subscribe, however, whatever they call it. Some sites is different. Some sites subscribe, some sites is follow. I appreciate the support. I'm a small streamer. Small streamer. I am going to try to eliminate the cussing. Although I do have my streams marked 18 plus. That's a Christian walk thing, by the way. Bridle that tongue. But now, he ain't just necessarily talking about bridling tongues about your language. Like, say, I'm going to use this as an example. You got plans to do something. And you call up Bob and you tell Bob your plan. Bob may not have your best intent. He may be smiling. I don't know why I said that. I just said a name. Could be Joe or Jimmy, or even could be Jenny if you're a lady. You tell Jenny your plans. Jenny's a witch. You don't know she's a witch, but she's a witch. She's going to be getting items that you got. She's going to be cursing and then you're not going to get to do what you set out to do. Like if you got a job coming, this would be the stuff that the spiritual warfare is teaching. This is why you want to bridle your tongue. I'm working on that too, by the way. And I basically failed because just telling your life story, basically, you're giving them your history. You're giving these wicked individuals, by the way, I rebuke. I've got power over it in the name of Jesus and under the blood of Jesus. There's nothing more powerful than the blood of Jesus. But you still need to be careful. Because say you're getting a job. Bob or Jenny might not want you getting the job. So Bob and Jenny's going to try to make sure you don't get the job. That's why you want to bridle your tongue. You not only want to... It wasn't vulgarity he was just talking about. There's a lot of wisdom in the Bible, and even some more wisdoms in some of the Bibles, the books not put in the Bible. And there's this and that reasons why they didn't put it in. Sometimes they just didn't confirm the story, the narrative that they're telling. But there's wisdoms in even some of them books. I'm noticing that. I'm listening like that wisdom of Solomon, telling you things that's wise. There's wisdoms in those other books as well, not just the Bible is what we're supposed to hold dear. It's supposed to be the Word of God. But now there's wisdom in knowledge and all general, like just knowledge. And it is unwise for even a perspective because Bob or Jenny may not have your best intention. Bob and Jenny are not wanting you to succeed. See what I'm saying? So you need to bridle your tongues. I'm kind of on that level, but now here's me. I'm bad at not seeing the bads in people. I am cautious because I never grew up trusting people because everybody that called themselves a friend were not friends. With exception, and I know her. She was one of my friends, and she's one of the people I know today. She was a friend in school. And we sometimes, every now and then, talk every now and then now. She even worked, well, let's just say, she knew some of my family too. But she's a real friend. But now the majority of those people that called themselves friends were not friends. With the exception of the dude that we were enemies at first. And then he moved off. I mean, I actually witnessed him. I knew he was a friend. Because he didn't want to leave. And he told me I was the main reason he didn't want to leave. So he was a real friend. There's another dude that was a real friend. He was even protective of my sister. She was even telling about me the other day. She said, Well, I know you had one friend because he would ride the bus with me and he was very protective of me. She told me that. So I counted him as a real friend. But a lot of them that told me they were my friends weren't my friends. That guy became my friend. He wasn't a friend at the first. Indeed, he was a bully. My daddy put him in his place. Daddy told him that if he didn't leave me alone, he was going to take his belt off and bust his ass. And he looked at the social worker at that time and the two teachers. And he said, and if y'all don't like it, and his mama was there too. He said, I'm gonna go I'll just put my hands out and they're gonna put the cubs on me, but his ass is gonna be beat if he bullies my son one more time. He told that to the teachers and the two other witnesses. The teacher, the mama, and the social worker. He said one thing he's not going to do. He says, I've done told Philip to handle him, and Philip won't handle him. He wanted me to beat him up. I said, Daddy, I can't beat him up. He says, that's what I would have done. Because he went to school at a different time. So he said, I've done told him to deal with him. He didn't tell them what he told me to do, but that's what he wanted him to do. He wanted me to beat him up. I said, Daddy, I'm not going to beat him up. Well, he says, well, I'm going to handle him. Just watch. Well, one day, a week or two later, when he had time, he worked hard. Like I said, he worked hard. He ran stores. He's a manager. He had the brown van, by the way, at that time. That's what we drove. That's a darker shade. And I'm older in this picture. I said it at him in his last year and me up the year I was when he died. So I'm a little smaller, but that would have been the year that I'm setting. That's our age as I put in there. He told him exactly what he's going to do. He said, then I will be arrested. I will be arrested for my family. He said, I will get arrested for whooping him with my belt because he is not going to bully my son around. He told them all three that. Well, what it did open up, and I was kind of irritated because I did nothing wrong. You know, that's what's so freaking bad. Why most bullies don't get reported, why most bullies don't get dealt with, and why it ends up eventually becoming a problem that becomes a national issue. You know, they like to blame the this and the that's and the violent acts, but it really stems from nobody taking the bully serious. Them kids get backed in a corner and they don't know how to, they're not like me. They're not like me. They don't want to not take the violent turn. Because I believe I'm going to face God one day. That's why I don't want to. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't protect myself. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's going to be the last measures. Because I take God serious. I didn't even want to beat up anybody. I told my daddy, I'm not going to beat him up. Well, he's bullying you around. I'm not going to put up with him bullying me. He said, well, I'm going to handle him, son. You just watch. Well, sure enough, he walked in there one day. He called him up and he told him to be there. Well, they were there. Mama was there. They had the social worker and they had the teacher. I don't remember if the principal was around tonight. That's the one part I don't remember. So I know the teacher, Mama, and the social worker was there. Me and then my little sissy, because he had to pick her up. You know, he had her because Mama was at work. So she was over there too. So it was me and her witnessing it. We were the two witnesses. The kid, of course, was a witness, and then the mama. And it was the teacher, social worker, and him. He told him. He said, he's not going to bully my son around. He says, I will literally take my belt to him. And then you can arrest me. He said his parents should be raising him anyway. His parents should be raising him anyway. Be raising him not to bully people's children around. Well, you know, that's true. That's what's wrong with... That's your school problem there. You want to talk about school problems? That's your school problem. Bullies. And their damn freaking parents raise them to be bullies. I hate bullies, by the way. I've always hated them. I got no love for bullies. I'm still not going to hurt them. I just got no love for them. But anyways, I'm going to close the stream. Thank you for watching. If you like what I have to say, if you like my gaming, follow me. Subscribe, whatever it is that you do. Do it. Like I said, I'm going to work on cleaning my tongue up, too. You know that lady, I'm talking about the family that was destroying, or it's not really the family, by the way. It's the people behind, it's the Democratic machine behind the people destroying a certain company. A certain company that they want gone that a guy named Alex Jones heads up. Even that lady, I agree with her. She wants to deal with bullies. Because at the end of the day, that's what causes the problems. Because these poor kids, you look into it, they're either gay, or they're weird, or they're strange, or they're this and that. Like them Columbine kids. They're heavily bullied, and I'm going to tell y'all this. I don't mean to offend you Christians, because I'm a Christian myself. Not the best Christian, but some of the Christian kids are some of the worst dang bullies. Especially the pastor's children. And I even heard this from a pastor's son that I followed. I watched that guy for many years on TV. He was one of the first ones I started listening to. And I even wrote him. Me and him would write in exchanges, letters. I found out later on why he done that, though. He was just like me. He wanted to be a rock star. That's probably why he took time to talk to me. His son had a testimony when he came back to Jesus. And even he explained it that way, that the pastors' kids are usually the worst. The Christian kids are usually the worst. So why would a kid become atheistic and not like Christian children? Because some of you people are the worst. And I don't mean to point fingers, and I'm not. That's between you and God. Oh, they're evil. They're satanic. They're satanic kids. They'll raise their voices. Satanic. Well, would you ever think that maybe they wanted nothing to do with your guide because of what you showed them? Did you ever think it? Maybe they didn't. They thought Jesus was like that because you're like that. Jesus is far from that. Indeed, even I have to look at Jesus and say, man, I don't fit you. You need to deal with school bullies. I'd be for penalties myself. You know, we're talking about banning items, making it hard on people to protect themselves. There should be tough consequences because some people are getting beat the hell, and I'm seeing the videos. And it's usually, lately, it's racism involved. And I'm not going to name any side here. I'm just saying there's racism involved. And kids are getting the crap beat out of them, and nobody's holding these little monsters accountable. I'm being the talk show host right now. Still the gamer. Nobody's holding these monsters accountable. I think if you do adult crimes, like beating kids unmercifully, I think you ought to do adult time. Just going to be honest here. When you use violence towards other people, it's time to say, it's time for you to be dealt with. And you need the full letter of the law. You've been a kid. It would be me on this. I'd at least give them 10 years. And they would stay in a juvenile place up until they turn adult. And then they would serve the rest of the 10 years in prison for being a freaking bully. Especially hurt people. And now you can hurt people physically by bullying, and mentally by bullying them around. That's just my honest opinion about what we need to do. We need tougher penalties for these bullies. Because once the bully goes too far and the bully pushes a kid, and I think the bully, we're talking about holding the parents accountable. I don't think it's the parents that probably need to be accountable. It's probably the little bullies, the little hims and hers that bullied them around until the kid done the violence. Those should probably be the ones you prosecute. Because there's always, when you got that situation, it's always in the situation that I dealt with and my sister dealt with, and that friend I was telling you about would stand up for her. That's usually the situation that gets out of him. Boy, he looks so much like my daddy. I feel like I'm looking at him. AI image. What a face swap that I learned how to do in the video games. He's so much like my daddy. I'm getting timed out. I got timed out. Let's watch it get timed out. There we go. We got timed out, y'all. I was already through anyway. I'll see y'all later. Y'all have a good day. I got into talk show mode. Y'all know me, Art Bell, Michael Savage, even Alex Jones, and a lot of others. I even listened to the one before Art Bell. That, he got the big spot after him. What was his name? He went on to CNN. Oh, Larry. Larry, y'all. I even listened to him at times. Larry. Why did it go back in? I got booted out. It just automatically restarted. Let's go ahead and sign her out. I'll sign out officially. There's actually a clip in one of the White Zombie songs. Larry on. You can hear what he's flipping through the radio. I got in talk radio mode. I need to bring back the podcast. I don't know if I'll do it live. It's just, I'm telling you, with my experience with even taping, I had to struggle to tape it most of the times. Because there's just some subjects that you just can't talk about. And I would name some of those subjects because I covered because I listened to that stuff. I mean, when I was on the shortwave, that's what I listened to. You know, the shortwaves, New World Order's coming, all that stuff. I see y'all later. Y'all have a good day. I've been on long enough. It's almost 2 hours. It's 1 hour and 45 minutes. 1 hour and 45 minutes.